US military bases in Australia and Trump's chaotic leadership. US military bases in Australia and Trump's chaotic leadership are exposing sovereignty, security, and wasted billions. Introduction: Why Australia should pay attention. Donald Trump's chaotic leadership style does not stop at America's borders. Every decision he makes on alliances, wars, or trade sends ripples across the world. For Australia, the stakes are exceptionally high. With US military bases in Australia, our sovereignty and security are tied directly to Washington's impulses. If Trump escalates conflicts with China, Iran, or North Korea, US military bases in Australia could make us a target, dragging the nation into wars we never chose. Yet, our leaders treat the alliance as untouchable. Instead of using our dollar sovereignty to fund peace and prosperity at home, we risk becoming a launchpad for America's wars. The problem: America's chaos, Australia's risk. 1. US military bases in Australia. The United States operates several installations on Australian soil. The most significant is Pine Gap, near Alice Springs, which is formally described as a joint Australia-US facility. In practice, however, the joint label masks the reality that Australia has very little control over how the base operates. US dominance. Pine Gap is primarily run by the CIA and the US National Security Agency, NSA. While Australians work there in technical and liaison roles, major operational decisions are made in Washington, not Canberra. Limited oversight. Australia does not have veto power over how intelligence collected at Pine Gap is used. Data has been linked to US drone strikes and nuclear targeting, activities that successive Australian governments have little visibility of, let alone authority over. Token partnership. Having Australians on site allows the facility to be branded as joint, but insiders acknowledge that Australians are often excluded from the most sensitive operations. The arrangement legitimizes America's presence while offering only symbolic sovereignty. This imbalance matters. By hosting US military bases in Australia, we effectively outsource key national security decisions to Washington. If Trump escalates a conflict, Pine Gap would be central, and Australia would be pulled in automatically, without meaningful say. 2. Why our leaders pander to Washington. Both major parties, Labor and the LNP, defend the alliance as sacred. Fear of losing American protection shapes every decision. Politicians also know the Murdoch media empire promotes pro-US narratives and punishes dissent. Corporate pressure is another driver. Defense contractors, such as Lockheed Martin, BAE, and Australian firms tied to US contracts, push Canberra to deepen military integration. Pandering to Washington is not about protecting Australians. It is about protecting profits and political careers. The impact: how Trump's leadership affects Australians. 3. Risk of being dragged into US wars. Trump is unpredictable. One day, he threatens allies with tariffs. The next, he praises authoritarian leaders. His approach to China, Iran, and North Korea swings wildly between confrontation and appeasement. If he escalates conflict in the Asia-Pacific, US military bases in Australia become targets overnight. The reality is that US military bases in Australia tie us to American military decisions, whether we agree with them or not. Australians would face risks not because we chose war, but because our soil hosts American assets. This loss of sovereignty is rarely debated in Parliament, yet it could decide our future. 4. The cost for ordinary Australians. The financial cost is staggering. Australia's defence budget is set at $55.7 billion for 2024 to 25, with projections for steep growth through AUKUS, CIPRI. The nuclear submarine deal alone could cost between $268 billion to $368 billion over 30 years, Parliament of Australia. Every dollar spent on foreign wars is a dollar not spent on housing, healthcare, or education. While ordinary Australians struggle with rising costs of living, defence lobbyists and US weapons manufacturers walk away with guaranteed contracts. This is not security. It is exploitation. Maintaining US military bases in Australia also diverts public money away from urgent domestic priorities. The solution: reclaiming Australia's independence. 5. Use our dollar sovereignty. Australia issues its own currency. That means we have monetary sovereignty. We can fund housing, education, renewable energy, and healthcare without relying on Washington or the private sector. Yet governments behave as though every dollar must be justified by American approval. Instead of spending hundreds of billions on submarines that may never sail, we could fund renewable energy projects to ensure climate security, guarantee housing for every Australian, strengthen our public health and education systems, invest in diplomacy and regional cooperation to prevent wars before they start, reconsider the long-term presence of US military bases in Australia, weighing their risks against our sovereignty. Dollar sovereignty gives us options. What is missing is the political will. 6. Policy demands for a safer future. To reclaim independence, Australia must review all US military bases in Australia with full transparency, hold a parliamentary inquiry into Pine Gap's role in targeting and surveillance, redirect billions from AUKUS and defence contracts into public purpose spending, commit to an independent foreign policy that prioritises peace and regional cooperation. Frequently asked questions. Why are US military bases in Australia controversial? They integrate us into US conflicts and undermine national sovereignty. Could Trump's leadership trigger conflict for Australia? Yes. His erratic decision-making could escalate tensions in regions where our bases are strategically vital. How does dollar sovereignty offer an alternative? It empowers Australia to invest in social programs and independent diplomacy without relying on US security guarantees. Do US military bases in Australia protect us from threats? Supporters argue they provide security, but critics highlight that they make Australia a target and reduce independent decision-making. Final thoughts: a choice for Australia's future. The presence of US military bases in Australia means our security is tethered to Washington's whims. Under a leader like Trump, the risks multiply. Escalations with China or Iran could drag Australia into wars we never chose. The alternative is clear: use our monetary sovereignty to fund peace, resilience, and independence. Australia does not need to be America's junior partner. We can choose to put Australians first. This debate is no longer abstract. US military bases in Australia directly shape our foreign policy choices and our exposure to global conflict. What's your experience? Do you believe US military bases in Australia make us safer, or put us at greater risk under leaders like Trump? Call to action. We'd love to hear from you. Please share your thoughts through our reader feedback form, check out what others are saying on our testimonials page, or scroll down and leave a comment below. Your voice helps shape future content. Spread the word. Change starts with conversations. Share this article with friends, family, or your social networks so more Australians can see what's possible. Every share helps build momentum for a fairer society. Keep independent journalism alive. We are 100% reader-supported, no ads, no corporate strings, just honest, truth-driven journalism. If our work has informed or inspired you, we invite you to consider contributing to our cause. Even $5 or whatever you can spare helps us keep publishing and reaching more Australians. Donate now, one time or monthly. Already donated? Share the love by leaving us a quick review on Google to help others find us. References: Lowy Institute, Hidden Dragon, Why Australia Needs to Talk About Pine Gap, CIPRI, Military Expenditure Database, Parliamentary Library, AUKUS Cost Estimates.